Yo, that t-shirt's pretty fire though. It's pretty
Do you
sick.
like it?
I do.
Dude,
I really do.
I found it on I'll show the camera here.
Yeah, yeah.
It says bald bald is beautiful. It's a picture of a balding bald eagle from the Minnesota State Zoo.
And it looks where'd you get it?
I got it on eBay. I was just searching for vintage Minnesota shirts because I lived in Minnesota
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
while, and it popped up, and I was like, I cannot pass this up. It was like $20,
I love it.
so
I really do.
I was like, it's gonna be an everyday fit, probably.
It's every day. You're gonna wear it every single day.
Dude, bald is beautiful, man.
It is, man. It is pretty sick. I wish audio listeners could see it. It's pretty cool, man.
It's honestly pretty. It's kind of edgy because he's like balding at the top too. Like you can see his skull.
It's yeah. What is it like a double entendre? That's not a double entendre.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's edgy.
Balding bald eagle.
It's edgy is all it is, you know.
He's just missing the chain.
Yeah, I got the chain though, so
Hell yeah. You do look edgy today, man, with the all black.
yeah, I know.
Straight up
Little
edge
Chris
lord over
Angel
here.
almost.
Chris Angel?
Chris Angel.
You got buckled jeans on underneath there.
You wish.
I would love to see you in that.
Yeah, I saw again recently. I know we were talking about it before about Chris Angel being like, kind of like getting back into magic and stuff.
Yeah.
It popped up again on my feed a video of him performing in Las Vegas, some crazy suspended air magic tricks where he's like
At the Luxor or whatever, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
he's like connected by wires and he's just like doing flips and people think he's like a god and like actually flying.
Dude, I loved Chris Angel. When I was younger, I was a Chris Angel. I was a mind freak. I was a Chris Angel mind freak. I loved him. But I wanted to. He was a buckle man. He had a lot of
Yeah.
he had a lot of buckled jeans and whatnot that he wore.
That was the era for it too though when he was like super popular. That was like the buckle jean era too.
And you just jogged my memory. Honestly, have you ever done the buckle challenge?
I've done it one time. Done it one time.
For listeners that don't know what the buckle challenge is, I don't think it's a thing anymore. Honestly,
Like the store?
yeah. Do you know what the challenge is though?
No, are you saying like the store is not a thing anymore?
No, I don't think like the buckle challenge is a thing like
Oh.
anymore. Like I don't hear anybody talk about it. But then again, I'm a 32-year-old man.
Yeah, when's the
so-
last time you've even been to the mall?
It's been a minute,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
long time. Yeah, but the buckle challenge when we were younger could still be a thing. I don't know. Gen Z, speak up. But you basically the goal was you had to run back to the back of the store and back and out without any of the salespeople stopping you and being like,
Approaching you.
yeah,
right?
hey, what are you looking for today and whatnot? Because they're vultures in that store.
Dude, yeah.
And I mean, it's understandable. The clothing's expensive.
It also could have been like we were teenagers and they're like, what are these kids doing in this store? They're
That's
not
true. There's
they're-
raising
they're
hell.
clearly not here to buy anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This guy's wearing trip pants. There's no way he's gonna get any of these buckled jeans here.
This is 100% true. Yeah, I was when I was younger. I mean, I was pretty edgy myself, man. I was
Wait, so did you ever complete the buckle challenge?
yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
would say multiple
Did you?
times. Yeah, I kind of got a high off of it, to be honest. I really did. It was like,
But would you just like ignore them or what? Like, what was your? Or you
I
would just
think we would
strategically plan your route,
we
you
would
would
try
just,
to like we would try would we strategically plan it.
Yeah, right.
Um,
You got like binoculars in like the outside the store, like
I-
trying to like a stealth game. You're trying to memorize their patterns.
we would do it as a group, so I do think that there was like a huddle beforehand that was like, all right, this is how we're going to execute this.
Okay.
But I think, we like to kind of get a little risky. We like to get a little risky with it, and we'd be like, how close can we get to the sales reps without them saying anything? So we knew kind of like who they were and whatnot.
Okay.
Not we didn't know them like personally, but we'd been in there enough times to know who the reps were, and we'd be like, all right, I'm going to kind of swoop by here,
Yeah.
curve around, get back to the back. But it was fun, man. It's simpler times.
The only time I ever did it, I think I was with you though. And you were like acting as like my bodyguard. I remember you were like my deflector, my shield. Like, because when I walked in there was at least one person that came up to us, and you must have already completed it at this time. You're like, I got to take one for the team here and let Ryan complete the buckle challenge. Like,
Sure.
you like shielded me and you took the conversation from the person trying to approach me.
It's like oh man, I feel like it's like what's the word I'm looking for
I'm
here?
walking in there with you held hostage and then like just give you up to like salespeople to take one for the
It's
team.
almost like a hazing sort of thing where it's like you have to complete this to kind of like be in the group sort of thing. So I'm like, hey, I'll protect you. You got to finish it, and then you can say you can have that badge that
Yeah.
I've completed the buckle
And
challenge.
I remember just like being at the back wall. I couldn't even tell you what was there. Like either like a rack of jeans or shoes, and just like holding one, pulling one out, looking at it, and then like putting my hand through the rest of the rack, touching the wall, and just walking.
I vaguely remember that actually. Yeah, honestly though, man, it kind of got me thinking. Us talking about this is this just like a Midwest thing, or was this like a buckle thing nationwide?
Oh yeah.
Was this like do people know about this? Do
Hmm.
people know about the buckle challenge, or was this just a weird like trend within the mall that was in our neighborhood?
It might have been. I mean, speak up, anyone listening, if you know that you did this or you know
Yeah.
other people that did, because I'm curious too.
This is like pre like, Reels, TikTok and whatnot.
Oh my
So
god,
this
yeah.
wasn't like something that was like an internet trend. This was
No,
just like a coming a it's
this is
not
like
coming of age, but
like
like a
2010, 2012 time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also think back at that in that same time frame, we had, I don't know if it was me and someone else, we had created like a Facebook group just called like the achievement group. And like how you'd get like Xbox achievements for doing certain
Yeah.
stuff. The buckle challenge was one of them, and we had come up with like a score, like a tally for like what each one was worth
Yeah.
too.
Wait
Just
a minute,
based
was
on,
I a part of this group?
I think you might have been. I don't know
Holy,
if the group is still active. I should check
I
honestly.
don't even remember this.
But some of them were like it was based on difficulty, like the amount of points you'd get. So just based off of our own opinions on how we thought how difficult it
What other
was.
stuff was in there?
One of them I remember for sure was get a front row parking spot at the mall,
Okay.
and like the achievement name was just close enough? Question mark.
Was it all mall based?
uh, it might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been. Let me take a quick look here. We can cut this out if I don't find anything.
No, you're good. You're
Um,
good. It's weird to think like when we were younger that like the mall was the place. I don't know if it still is, to be honest. I feel like people hang out virtually so much now, but
yeah,
the mall was the hangout spot.
yeah. I don't see it anymore. It must be gone. Damn, that's
Weird.
huh? Yeah, it was a weird time. I could probably, if you give me enough time to think about it, I could probably like pull something up, like in terms of just like some of the other challenges we did. But yeah, nothing else is coming to me by memory. Maybe something about like the samples in the
Oh,
food court, like
oh, I bet you it was. Yeah, they had a
like
bunch of different samples, and they don't do that anymore. But
yeah.
back in the day, they did have in the food court a sample guy
Hmm.
at almost every single store.
Yeah,
And I remember us poor kids that we did that regularly, just going around and eating the samples.
just to eat because we were starving. We were
Exactly.
starving children. We could barely afford to get to the mall.
True. Yeah, true. It was a little far away from where we were located.
Yeah, and it was like clown car style too. We'd pile into one of our friends' Prelude, and just all five of us in that tiny car.
Dude,
Getting to the
what a
mall.
time to be alive, man. I can picture it now. Me in my trip pants, my dyed black hair,
Probably a black sweatshirt.
my spikes, my spiked bracelets.
Yeah, spiky
I
boy.
was kind of the outlier, I don't think anybody else in our group dressed like that. I was really going for edgelord, dude.
Yeah,
I was
you were edgelord status.
I was one step away from the black makeup.
Really?
I wanted to, but I don't like putting stuff around my eyes.
Well, you remember when we shot that zombie film
Yeah.
back in the day? Like, how close to you were you wearing that type of makeup?
I was pretty close. I mean, in my head, I wanted to.
That's what I think of when I hear you say that. Like
Yeah.
that you were close to that. Like that's kind of like you were like pale in the face and you had like raccoon eyes.
Dude, I was proud to be a goth. I was really proud.
Gotham proud.
Gotham proud. Hell yeah. And now it's like such a normal thing. Like I feel like when I was younger, like that alternative look or like gothic look was
Mhm.
like scary. People were afraid of people who looked like that. And now it's like it's almost sexualized. It's almost like
I get what you
fetishized
mean,
in a
yeah.
way. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's really weird.
Come full circle, man.
It's come full circle.
You could be in your prime right now if you went back to your roots.
Be a goth model.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I had a bowl cut. It was dyed black. I had a dyed black bowl cut with red highlights in it.
I never knew you went with that hairstyle.
I know. I thought it was so hot. I had a wallet chain and I had tons of different like band wallets that I would wear.
Was it like your freshman year of high school or something?
No, freshman year, I went into high school dressed in purely just cargo shorts.
Okay.
I had basically a deal with a friend where we made a bet that we were going to wear shorts every single day for the entire year. I mean, we're in Wisconsin, so that's like,
who would break it first or something?
yeah, neither of us did. We both made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a pretty normal looking kid. I just wore like band tees or like stuff from Kohl's. But then I saw those goth kids smoking cigarettes on the corner. And I didn't smoke cigarettes. I was a very, pretty straight, not a straight A kid, but like I didn't get in trouble or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, man,
You weren't a Hellraiser yet.
not yet.
Yeah.
But they looked so cool, I was like, man, I want to be like them. And so by the end of sophomore year, I was fully transitioned. I was fully in it.
You were in the club. You were in the goth club at that point.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I wasn't tight with them, but I was like the goth of our friend group.
Okay.
That was like I wanted to be, but I was too afraid to talk to them.
Sure.
They're scary looking, man.
So you might have been seen as like the bridge between like your friend group and like the goths.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or the goth kids were like, what the hell's that goth kid doing with all those normies?
But
the buckle
you ever wonder what
challenge,
happened to those guys though?
the goth kids?
Yeah. You ever like think about like did you know them like by
I
name?
mean, I do know about what happened to some of them.
Oh, okay. Okay, not good.
Not good. Yeah.
Maybe we won't talk about that.
No. But going back to the buckle challenge, it feels illegal. It feels like something that's a little bit like you shouldn't be doing it, right?
Kinda, yeah.
And I know that you and I were talking a couple weeks back. We kind of were like, hey, we should try and put together some lists of things that we feel aren't illegal but feel illegal, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Or should maybe be illegal.
Yeah, or
that
maybe
are
not even should, but just like, I mean, it's kind of tough because like it borders on like being like a prank,
Yeah.
or also just being like going against societal norms.
Yeah.
Which it kind of there's a little bit of gray area in terms of things that feel illegal but aren't. Like,
Yeah.
Like probably a pretty poor example is like standing backwards in an elevator, a full elevator. With people.
It does feel illegal. It feels honestly kind of uncomfortable as somebody that's riding an elevator daily at a corporate job. I don't see that. And if I were to see that, I'd be like, there's something wrong in your head.
You look like a security guy almost. Like
Yeah.
walking in and facing dead on as soon as you get in there.
Yeah. So I guess the prompt that we wanted to kind of talk about, it's lighthearted. It's stuff like that, like facing the wrong direction in an elevator, like you said. It's not really, hardcore stuff.
And I thought about this topic a long time ago, and I've had one that I've really wanted to talk to you about for a really long time.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm stoked.
And I'm so excited to like finally bring it up for this one.
Do you want to start?
I'll start with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I even told Daleen about it, and she was just like, she's like, I don't get it. Why would someone do that? And I was like, that's not the point. It's just that someone could do this, and
it feels illegal.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. So my number one leading off is like you might not even be like in the drive-through lane for like McDonald's, say, or like a fast food restaurant.
Okay.
But like you wait for a car to like finish ordering their order at the not at the window, but like at the speaker.
Okay.
But then you cut them off in the drive-through lane, and then you get their order. Like you still pay for it, and then you like get their order, and it just causes chaos behind you.
It's like the reversal of like those like
People who pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward trees or pay it forward lines or whatever. Yeah. I've never heard of anyone doing that before, but that's not illegal, right?
Yeah,
You're
no.
not stealing anything.
Yeah. But you're kind of like you're jumping the gun on someone else's order because you get to the window, they're like, does 2219 sound right? And you're like, yep, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 2 McFlurries and a cheeseburger. That's me.
You gotta be confident, man.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then you go and pick it up in the next window, and then the poor guy behind you is like, no, this is like that's not what I ordered. Or maybe he just like not even paying attention to the person that's telling him what the next subtotal is. And he's like, well, that's a lot cheaper than I thought it was.
It's definitely the reversal of a pay it forward line. That's hilarious, dude. That's funny. Yeah, I feel like if I was the car behind the person who got, if I was the guy who got cut off, I would be so confused. I'd be like, did they forget sauce?
Yeah.
And they're going back for sauce, or like, are they mad at the cashier? Like, is this like a fight I wouldn't think that they were stealing my order, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
That's crazy.
Because then you're probably thinking like, you obviously see the person cut you off that like was not even a part of the line to begin with. And I'm sure they're probably thinking like, is this person going to like take my order? Like, I'm sure they're probably thinking like, oh, and how do you bring that up to the person at the window?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, the car in front of me paid for my order. And they're like,
That's a good point. Yeah, they're
it
like,
just causes so much confusion.
You're totally bullshitting me. Yeah. You're just trying to get free food at this point.
I
or
know. Yeah,
something.
they're gonna call them on and be like, "No, that guy cut in front of me." And they're like, "Sir, it's a two-car lane back there. You know, they got those 2 lanes for like a
They just think you're
McDonald's."
crazy or something.
Yeah, they're trying to like anything to get you out of the window, basically, to go to the next person.
That's good. That's a good one. That is a good one. I can see why you were holding on that for a while.
And as the driver, you're kind of taking a gamble at what you're gonna get too, because you don't know what the person ordered. That
That's true. Yeah.
you know, you could get something you don't really want, but that's not the point. You're just trying to
It's just you just want to see the world burn.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
there's that's the motive. You just want to cause
You're not
chaos.
paying it forward. You're paying it backwards.
Paint it backwards. That's good, man. That's really good.
Yeah.
I'll hit you with my first one here. Things that feel legal that are not. Um, I have, and maybe this is a little bit more real here, but like showing kids disturbing movies at a young age. And the only reason I have that, I mean, it should be illegal. And the only reason I say that is like at me as a young child, that had happened to me. And I have like deep seated irrational fears due to that. When I was younger, do you know what kinder care is?
Is it like a just thinking it's like a daycare center?
It's like a chain daycare
Yeah, yeah,
center.
yeah.
But it's ran by like teenagers. Like
Oh.
they hire like freshly out of high school like kids to run it and whatnot.
Mhm.
There was an edge lord there
Okay.
who was
That
kind of
worked there?
that worked there. Yep.
Okay.
Who was kind of watching over us. And there's 2 movies that he showed me at I'm talking like 4 years old, like a young kid. The first one was The Men in Black.
Okay.
And I love the Men in Black to this day. I'm a big
Oh,
Men in
yeah.
Black fan.
100%.
But as a young kid, that opening sequence where the guy's disguised as the alien and like the skin falls off.
talks like this.
Sugar and water. Yeah, that guy,
The cockroach
he
guy.
scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And that for years, I would think that he was living in my basement. That scared the crap out of me.
And then the scene where he just peels the skin suit off.
That's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
shocked the hell out of me. And as a 4-year-old kid, you don't understand what's real and what's not real.
Oh, man,
So
yeah.
I'm thinking that there's like people living around me as cockroach humans, you know?
And you're trying to like spot them as a kid. You're like, is that a cockroach guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a cockroach?
He's got a
person?
little bit of he talks out of the corner of his mouth.
That person asked for double sugar. They're probably cockroach alien.
Jeez. Double sugar in his coffee. Yeah. If you haven't watched Men in Black, check it out, man. We're not a film podcast.
You probably couldn't go to a diner for weeks after that.
No, man.
just- anyone
was-
asking for sugar.
My parents were pissed though. They were really mad. They were
bet,
because
yeah.
I went home and I told them obviously I was like I didn't know the name of the movie or anything like that, but I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, I watched this movie and they put 2 and 2 together and they're like, why are you showing kids this?
Yeah.
And then even further, the second movie, which I still to this day have kind of some deep seated stuff with, which is really irrational, completely irrational, was Jaws. I saw Jaws
Oh, really?
at I was probably maybe 5 or 6 years old when I
Okay.
saw it. I saw it at KinderCare. They showed it to me there. So, lawsuit against KinderCare.
It's coming.
I'm just, but
Or just a lawsuit against that edgelord is all.
yeah,
It is.
yeah. I was horrified by the shark, and they kept telling me that it was fake. And for some reason, that freaked me out even more. That scared me so much that something that looks that real can be fake. And to this day, man, I'm really. I think we were gonna talk about this on a different episode, but I'm terrified of like animatronics that are in
gonna
that
say, it's-
uncanny valley.
Yeah,
you
maybe
know,
that's where your fear for the uncanny valley comes from.
there's
is-
a little bit of a mixture. So it's that, but then also the Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, I think that should be you should not show kids.
That's honestly a really good one because that happened to my mom too when she was a kid.
What was
her-
the film?
Her dad watched The Exorcist with her.
How old was she? My
Oh,
God.
she was like probably not as young as 4, but she was probably like under 10 years old, like 10 or younger when she watched it.
I watched it. I was in high school when I watched it.
Yeah.
And that movie is still in my probably top 3 scariest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, oh, I love it. But I watched it like at an age that I could like not grow up terrified of it.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
It was honestly the Linda, what's her name? Linda Blair or whatever. I think that's the actress's name.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
didn't really freak me out.
Mm.
It's the Pazuzu, the demon, where they flash the face.
Oh, yeah.
I still see that sometimes when I close my eyes at night, man. It's scary.
I know that we're not a film podcast or we don't want to be, but the director for The Exorcist, forget his name, but he also made a movie called Sorcerer. Have you heard about that one?
No.
It's nothing. It's not even like it's nothing what you would expect it to be. It's basically, I had a friend that was telling me about it the other day, but it's basically a film of they kind of say it's a movie that like ended this guy's career as a director because it was a movie that went way over budget.
What year?
It's 70s. It's
Oh,
1977.
shortly after. Shortly
Yeah.
after.
Well, the reason that it tanked is because it also opened up against Star Wars too. So
Oh.
kind of going up against like a juggernaut in the box office.
Oh my
So,
God. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason. It was over budget and like under successful at the box office. But it's basically just a story of like these four guys who are down on their luck that are recruited to drive these like two Humvees with like explosives in the back of the car that can't like they're valuable for whatever reason, but
Sure.
if you move them too much, they'll explode.
Okay.
And
Okay.
like the terrain
Humvees.
yeah, pretty much. And like the terrain that they have to go, I only watched the trailer for it. I haven't actually seen this movie.
Okay.
But the terrain that they go for it in like one of the trailers is they're trying to go across this like George of the Jungle looking bridge in the middle of the rainforest, and it's pouring rain, and like the car's like top-sided, it's flipping around, like it's waving on the bridge, and
This
I
is
don't
called Sorcerer.
sorcerer, yeah.
What does that have to do? What does a sorcerer have to do with just a bunch of guys in Humvees transporting explosives?
It doesn't. From what I heard, it was the director had like seen that word on like a Humvee at some point when he was younger.
Oh, okay.
Kind of just associated that, like he's thinking like that's a cool name for like a truck that these guys could drive. Type
That
of
sounds
thing.
lame. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, it did have like a different working title. I can't remember it offhand.
Okay.
That was way more relevant because I think it's based off of like a some loosely based story of maybe a real event. I have no idea, but
Okay.
it had a different working title that sounded way more interesting and relevant. Because yeah, I mean, especially back in the 70s, how would you like? Why would you decide to go see Sorcerer if you like? If it ends up being nothing like what an actual sorcerer is?
And in the 70s, you've got like the boom of, at least I think, late 70s, like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff is like getting
Oh,
hot
yeah.
and whatnot. I don't know. Maybe that was 80s. I could be wrong.
Maybe Star Trek too
But
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
popping off.
You're like,
but
dude, sorcerer, and you go into it thinking you're going to see like wizards and shit, and it
yeah,
ends up being just like a bunch of Rambos
yeah,
and Humvees. Yeah.
yeah. You're
That's
like,
interesting.
Well, I just watched Star Wars last week. I don't want to go see another like sci-fi movie
I
type.
wish I would have seen Star Wars in the 70s. I feel like
Dude,
it
same.
would have been life changing.
Yeah. Yep. I know we went off on a tangent there, but I got more on this list of
I got a couple more too.
things that feel illegal but aren't.
Yeah.
Some of these, like I kind of set it up that some of these might be like more pranky than like actual
Sure.
things, but I thought it would be funny where it's just called, this one's just called Restaurant Switcheroo,
Okay.
where you go in and like get a table by yourself, and then like when the waitress leaves, I take your spot and just pretend like nothing's different. You probably wouldn't be able to tell us apart, to be honest.
Well, I was gonna say you'd have to probably wear glasses, or I would have to not wear glasses.
But even if we don't, it would still be great. Like
Yeah.
if we're just wearing like,
we should honestly we should try that. Just at like a Pizza Hut or something, you know, like it's lighthearted. That's
what
not,
happens.
that's not going to make anybody upset or anything like that. I think we should genuinely try that out. That'd be pretty funny. Yeah. I'd get my neck trimmed up so we'd have similar beards.
oh yeah, or we
We got to wear the same outfit.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that'd be great.
see how close they can pay attention, and then maybe we try it again without looking like each other.
And then it's, yeah, even funnier.
Yeah,
Is
if they're just like they're just in
They're locked in.
yeah airplane mode, just like they're cruising.
Restaurant switcheroo. I like that. The next one that I have here is, and I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. This kind of comes from the music world that I'm in.
Okay.
And this was like the first thing I thought of when I thought of things that feel illegal that are not. And it's hardcore dancing / crowd killing is what it's called.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know what that is, and you probably don't either,
I've seen it.
have you seen crowd killing though?
Maybe I'm just thinking that it's just hardcore dancing. It's all the same
It's
thing
like,
to me.
dude, in the last 10 years, things have gone off the rails. It's crazy.
Huh.
So basically, you've got all these kids, and I'm not knocking this at all. I'm in this scene. I love it. I'm not knocking this at all. But you've got these kids who are hardcore dancing, which is like bands that are metal bands, hardcore bands. They're playing really heavy, slammy music. And you get your aggression out by basically just flailing your arms and legs around to the beat of the music. And
You're in your own zone.
you're in your own zone, right? That doesn't feel illegal too much, but there is now this thing called crowd killing, which is basically the goal is to hurt the other people around you, sort of thing.
Like, how many knockouts can I get?
Like literally, I went to a show one time. I'm at the front row, and this guy comes behind us, and he just starts punching every single person on the back of the head. And I was one of the people who I got clobbered on the back of the head. And
How long ago was this?
this was probably 2015.
Okay.
It was in Milwaukee at a barrier show.
Okay.
But it's weird because it's this kind of like weird dynamic of it's part of the culture, it's normal, but if any outside person that is not part of that culture were to see this happen, you'd be like, dude, I need to call the cops. These people are trying to actively hurt each other. And they are, but everybody's agreeing to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a street brawl between maybe like 15, 20 guys, and everybody's like, we understand the rules. We understand that we're here to beat ass, you know?
That's how I felt the first time you brought me to a hardcore show.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I was like, people like this? People want to do this to each other?
Yeah.
Back when this is when you corrupted me, because I was not a very edgy person when I was younger.
Yeah. And I want to go on record and say that I'm no tough guy. I've never done that before. And I'm not going to do that, but I understand it. I get the culture. I get it's consensual for the most part. There's some bad apples out there. Bad apples out there. I'm not going to lie. But for the most part, people who are in that scene go into this knowing this is going to happen, you know, sort of thing. It's wild.
That's a good point. Yeah. I see what you mean by like feels illegal, but it isn't, because there's nobody policing it. Like, you're not going to get a ticket for doing any of that stuff.
Well, now a lot of venues, they are, in a way, like now they are. A lot of venues are like security's like, you go in there and they have signs that say no moshing and whatnot. And like people hate that. People are like, this is part of our culture. This is what I'm here to do. I'm here to blow off steam. Yeah, you're taking this from me. But a lot of these underground venues and whatnot, you're right. There's no security. There's no person at the front of the stage bouncing or anything like that. And it's just all out brawl. It's crazy. Anyways, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because I do have a music one as well. Very different from yours though, but it's the idea of having someone being like a fake concert promoter.
Okay.
You basically like print and post flyers for like made up bands that are performing at like venues in the area. Like for Crystal Pistol and the Cilantro Boys.
Crystal Pistol and the Cilantro Boys.
Yeah, playing at such and such venue, 8 p.m., whatever, and like you post those around town, and then people like may or may not see those and expect to show up at that.
That's like a social experiment.
Kind of. Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. Or like you could elaborate on that, and you could kind of like do a faux flyer, faux Facebook post and marketing throughout Facebook, but then you do have something there, but it's not Crystal Pistol and the Cilantro Boys. It's like somebody just like farting into their armpit on stage or something, like
a guy with an accordion or something.
Yeah.
Playing polka music.
Yeah.
Or if there isn't anybody, you show up to the bar and the owners are like, what, you're here for who? Crystal Pistol and the Cilantro Boys? Like, what?
I want to be one of the Cilantro Boys, man.
I know nothing about this.
That is funny. That's a good prank. That's like a social experiment prank.
Yeah. So some of the ones that I have are like
they're like what ifs.
Yeah.
They're more like, they're not like maybe like a regular thing, but like
right.
If I were to do this, it should be illegal.
Yeah.
But it's not.
I mean, you are kind of taking advantage of like the venue by having people show up at this unexpected or unplanned. So like,
they might buy drinks.
Could be, yeah.
It might be business.
They'd be slammed though if like people really wanted to see that band play.
That's true. I've got just, this is so simple, but like IHOP all you can eat pancakes. Like what if you just
I think I know where you're going with
didn't leave? Yeah. You know, like that feels illegal. Or any buffet for that matter. If you're just like, you just stay all day and you go every day, like you take a week and you're like, I'm gonna go to this Chinese buffet and eat from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and just continuously put back food every day.
You look like an actual slug if you did that by the end of the week.
That's true. But that feels like it should be illegal, right? Like you're taking a lot of money from a business.
Yeah, but I mean that's their own fault that they don't like put parameters around what all you can eat actually means.
Yeah. And on top of that too, like food challenges kind of feel a little bit illegal to me. I know like some places have you like sign waivers and stuff, but like some of those places where they're like the capsaicin level is, I don't know if I'm
Oh,
pronouncing that right, but
spicy level.
yeah, the spicy level is like through the roof. It's 10 million Scoville units or whatever.
Right.
You got to sign this form. Still feels kind of illegal.
Or what about those guys that like you have to eat an insane amount of food in like a certain amount of time?
Yeah,
Like, do you feel like those are in like the same vein as like the spicy,
maybe. Yeah, I mean,
a quantity challenge?
you've got like that Heart Attack Grill that's in
Oh,
Vegas on
yeah.
Fremont Street, where they do have like challenges that are like you could die by eating this. Like your arteries are just gonna like seize up or something.
Just by looking at it.
Yeah, yeah, that feels a little illegal to me.
That's a good one. I kind of have like a 2-for-1 here.
Okay.
Because it's kind of all into the same thing. Just like Wikipedia pranks in general. Because anybody can go in and edit
Yeah.
anything on there. Like you could go back to like, I don't know, any celebrity or any important person and like say that they invented Velcro back in like 1922 or something like
Have
that.
you ever done it?
No, I haven't. I don't even have a Wikipedia account. So
Okay, I don't even know how it works. I didn't know you had to have an account or.
no, I think you do have to have some sort of account, but like literally anybody can go in and edit a Wikipedia page.
That's crazy.
I think there are moderators that will like maybe fact check it and go back and look at it,
Yeah.
but those moderators are like not paid for as far as I know.
I bet there are people who get off on that are like,
Probably,
it's like
yeah.
a power trip thing where they just like every day come home from work, they log in and they're like, what am I gonna fuck up today?
Yeah.
What am I gonna whose Wikipedia page am I gonna make seem like a freaking crazy person or something?
Yeah. And I think for the people that like to go and like correct stuff, maybe it's just like, you know, a part of their personality. They love to like kind of make sure things are like in order and like
It's a control thing on
be
both.
on-
Yeah, on both
get a
sides.
control and a destroy
Yeah,
element to both these people here.
that is fascinating.
The other one is similar, but like adding fake slang to Urban Dictionary.
Can you
And
can
like,
you add? Could I go on Urban Dictionary and
Yeah.
add something?
yeah, well, the thing is, I told Daleen about this, and she's like, I've done that before. She's like, I added my own name to Urban Dictionary, and I was like, she told me this today, just this morning. I was like,
Okay.
I don't want to even look at it, but I want to look it up on podcasts and see what you wrote for yourself. Of
My
what-
mind is being blown. I did not know that anyone can do that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I feel like, I mean, Urban Dictionary is like a little bit less moderated probably than like a Wikipedia.
Sure.
So probably more people can get into like the Urban Dictionary and like
I know my new hobby.
Yeah.
I know my new hobby.
Well, because I think the way it works is like sometimes there's multiple entries for a word that like people describe a little bit differently.
Yeah, yeah,
So maybe you can get like a sense of like how people are using this in the real world.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
So you haven't seen what Daleen's name is in Urban Dictionary?
No. Well, it's weird. There's like there's multiple entries for this, which is surprising to me.
She's doing it every day.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask her. Okay, first one. Daleen, hot, hilariously sarcastic, and an overall turn on. Sometimes has her moods, but tends to always find her way back to inappropriate jokes. Just an all around mood in all caps, and then the emoji.
I don't think Daleen put that one in there. She's not very sarcastic.
And then like use it in a sentence, like her name is Daleen, get your head out of the gutter. And that was added back in November of 2021.
Did she tell you what year she did it?
No, I'm gonna ask her which one of these is her though,
Okay.
because I don't. Maybe some of her friends did this, but okay. So this one is Daleen. This name refers to the mother with a heart who cares for her little ones. Super kind person. Also, she has her way of making things better and making people feel special. That was kind of wholesome.
Yeah, I don't think that's Daleen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She might have wrote that first one though. I think
She-
that would have been her.
She one day she'll be that slang word.
Okay. This one, Daleen, a woman of class and gifted musician.
I don't think that's her either.
No, she doesn't play an instrument.
Yeah.
And then using it in a sentence is just Daleen the Queen.
Daleen the Queen.
Okay, so that one's a repeat. This one is Daleen, gorgeous, hilarious, 20-something cheesehead with a knack for sass. That's Daleen for you. That's what the sentence is.
I can't believe people take time out of their day to do that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. That was back in 2016.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to
Is she a
ask her.
cheesehead?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll have to ask her which one was her.
If you had to guess, was that it? Those were the only entries?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was only going to be one. That was way more than I thought there was.
If
Gonna
you had
be.
to guess which one is her, what would it be?
I think it's probably that first one.
That first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
She wrote that about
The
herself.
head in the gutter?
No, I mean, I don't know if that part is written by the same person. Or
Okay.
if that's like, I don't know how it works, but I think that she wrote probably the
Okay.
first part. But I don't know. Maybe she did it with some friends too. I don't know.
I'm doing this tonight. This is my new hobby, man.
Looking at Urban Dictionary or adding stuff to it.
Adding stuff to it.
What are you gonna put?
Nate is a
Oh, I thought you were gonna come up with like
my own
new slang.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I gotta think about that. Maybe like, I gotta think about that.
Okay.
I gotta think about that.
Yeah.
That's good though. That's funny, man. You'll have to let me know which one truly is her.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
The next one we do almost every day, and it feels a little illegal.
What?
Blue collar stolen valor.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We're wearing some workman clothes. We're wearing some Carhartt. We got our our Dickies on and whatnot.
I have Dickie socks actually. I just bought some.
Nice. I bet they're warm. Yeah.
They are, yeah. Yep.
Feels a little bit disrespectful, to the man of the working class. But what can I say? Y'all just have more durable clothing. You have better made clothing that not only does it last longer, but it looks sick.
Yeah.
Yep. But I could see, I know there's memes about it and I've seen TikToks and whatnot, but I can see why, people who are grinding their ass, outside chopping wood all day in their
get upset about it.
Carhartt pants are going, yeah, look at these dudes just typing away on their computers and talking on their goddamn podcast
in a Carhartt shirt.
Yeah. That's my flag.
I want to see them do like white collar stolen valor and wear our clothes on their job site.
Dude, I feel like, give it a couple years and that is going to be like the new trend is going to be like people just wearing, like business suits and whatnot.
Shirt and tie to a construction site.
Yeah, that's funny. That's good.
This one is real dumb, but it's ordering fries as the main dish with a side of chicken sandwich.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. Yeah. I could see somebody being like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah. That's
yeah,
good.
I want entree of fries with a side of chicken sandwich.
It's
It's
good.
stupid. It's dumb.
It's dumb, but I like it. I like it. I have golf courses in neighborhoods. Feels illegal to me.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like a big thing. For some reason, people build homes on golf courses.
We had a friend that used to live by.
We do. And they've had their windows shattered.
Yeah.
That feels like just the dumbest idea to me. Like, why are you living on why are you even putting golf courses next to like busy streets?
Right.
I used to live very close to a busy street that was next to a golf course.
Yeah. You know what you could also add to that then is those people that live like with their properties basically connected to the golf course is just going on to hole 8 or whatever one you're closest to and taking a couple shots and calling it a day.
It also feels illegal.
Yeah, like how are they going to know?
Yeah.
Like they don't have like besides like the beer carts driving around out there. There's no one patrolling.
I mean, you could even another level on that is you could alter the terrain. You could there could be a lot of different.
Or
Well,
just
that probably would be illegal
tee off from
actually.
your backyard, tee it in, and then
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
also feels illegal. But
Tell everybody your golf score is like insane. I don't play golf at all.
I thought this one was good. Say you're in you're sitting in your car in a busy parking lot, and you got like a pretty good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you like turn your car on, and then like you like slowly back out, stop, and then you like park it again, over and over. Keep doing it.
Oh man, that is really funny. Yeah, that's pretty good. That looks like that's like a cartoon in my head.
Yeah,
like that's pretty good.
because you'd get people to wait for probably a couple minutes until like traffic piles up behind them, and then they're just like, "Man, screw it. I don't know what this guy's doing."
That's a good bit. That's pretty funny. Just back and forth.
Enough so that your lights turn on, like your reverse lights, and then you like park it right back. You're just like just adjusting it, just
Yeah.
getting the spot straight.
That feels illegal. That has to be illegal.
I would be upset, honestly.
I'd be so mad. That's funny.
I'd be mad if I was the person waiting to take that spot, and I'd also be mad if I was waiting in line behind the person that thinks they're going to get that
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
'Cause-
He's not moving, man.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Give it up.
My next one I've got is asking to wear someone's glasses and then telling them how blind they are. I feel like that's like a hate crime, man. I feel like that's so rude and mean, but everyone's done it.
Yeah.
I've done it and I have glasses, everyone's been like, dude, you're so blind. And then you're just like, I know, man. I know it sucks.
I love your rationale for like why you hate that so much, because I mean, if you want to say it, you probably remember.
I don't.
Oh, like you'd never like take someone's crutches and be like,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
you really can't walk, can you?
Yeah. Hey, man, can I check your wheelchair out? Oh, my God, dude. You cannot walk.
Dude, you are crippled AF, dude. What is your problem?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Why do you even use this? This sucks, dude.
That should be illegal.
Yeah.
For sure.
I have one, which I don't even know how you'd pull this one off. Just reverse DoorDash.
Okay.
You order food to the DoorDasher's home.
I don't know how you would pull that off, but that is wow. They'd be terrified probably.
I know.
They'd be like really wigged out.
Yeah, if I was the DoorDasher and I got an order, and then like I'm not even like paying attention to like the GPS and where it's taking me until like I'm at my own house.
Dude, that's a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
The next one I have really happened to me, and you were there, and it feels very illegal.
Was it the thing that I did to you?
No, not yet. But
Oh.
or no, I mean,
You know what? I'm the one.
you've done a lot of things to me.
What? I'm talking about the smiley face.
No, that's not what I was going to talk about, but I do think you need to talk about that.
Okay. I mean, that does feel illegal. Now, looking back.
I mean, if you weren't my friend, it would be. But
Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there. No, this was we were at a birthday, I want to say. I want to say it was a birthday or a birthday for one of our close friends. And we
the roller skating story, is it?
No. No.
Okay.
We went to an escape room. And it was a bunch of close friends, and we had some drinks beforehand. We had a driver, we had a person, so don't think
I think it was someone's birthday.
it was a birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
so
right. It was a birthday.
We had a DD.
We had a DD, and we had some drinks beforehand. And I have a very small bladder, as you know, and we got all ready to go and whatnot.
You probably got to go pee right now.
Honestly, dude, like I've been holding it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm good to go. I'm good. We got all ready to go. We got all signed in and whatnot. And the ladies like giving us like the rundown, like kind of like the debrief or the briefing of it or whatever. And we start kind of walking back, and she's like, "All right, last chance. If anybody needs to use the restroom, you can go now." And then I was like, "I think I'm good. I think I'm all right. I'm good." And then we maybe walked down like a hallway that was maybe like 25 steps.
Like this is maybe
down.
you not even knowing like how long that you're actually going to be trapped in this room.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not really thinking too clearly. We get down to the end of the thing. She's opening up the door to usher us in. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, real quick, I do think I'm just going to go pee really quick. And then she's like, nope, too late. You missed your chance. Get in there. And then I was just like, what? I was like, no, you're going to be in there for an hour. You gotta
in boot camp all of a sudden.
I was like, you're not going to let me pee? And she's like, nope, get in there. And then
I'm paying you to be here right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I should be able to go
This
pee.
is hell, dude. So she locks us in the room. It's an escape room. So we're stuck in this room. And as we're in there, it's just building more and more and more. I've got to piss, man. That was hell. That feels like biological warfare. That
Internal biological
Yeah,
warfare.
that does not feel right at all. She was probably loving it because I'm the entire time, they got cameras in there and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
The entire time, everybody's working their ass off. I'm not gonna lie, we're a little tipsy, all freaking trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
But I'm just bitching about how much I have to piss.
Yeah.
And I honestly could have pissed my pants. I could have pissed in the room.
Just find a corner.
Yeah, I was not useful at all.
I think I remember that day when we did that, and we also had you doing something that we probably shouldn't have put you on that day because for some reason we thought it would be a great idea for everybody to like pair up and just split up and try to find clues.
Yeah.
Which also probably was not a great idea because everyone's like tipsy.
We're drunk,
room.
yeah.
And um, we put you on. We found out that there was like a phone in the room, like an old rotary
It
phone.
was a rotary phone, yeah.
Yeah, and we put you on in charge of listening to the recording that was on there and trying to take notes.
No, there was like a ton of phone numbers in like a
Oh.
book, and I had to dial all the phone numbers and like listen to what the recordings were when I got there. My head was not in it, man. I was so mad. I was so frustrated.
We put the guy with the worst hearing on the phone duty.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Everyone's like yelling, trying to figure out their own puzzle in like different corners of the room. And Nate's in the back, like, I can't hear anything, guys. Like, I can't.
I do remember that now. You're right.
You're trying to like shush everyone up.
Yeah, I was so mad. I do remember that. Yeah. That's so good.
We didn't escape. We didn't get out.
We didn't make it. We royally didn't make it. I don't think we even got close.
And I think we used all the clues too.
Yeah.
That they gave us.
Yep. And then I was relieved afterwards.
Yeah.
My God.
You needed it.
Whew.
Oh man. Escape rooms.
Well, you were talking about the prank that you pulled on me that you thought would be felt illegal.
Yeah. Looking back, probably shouldn't have done it, but I don't regret it.
No, honestly, looking back in the moment, I was very mad. I was very mad at you. Probably the only and most I've ever been mad at you.
Yeah, it was like I felt your anger. Like that was the. I was worried about our friendship at that point.
But I look back on it now too, and I'm like, man, that is a good story, and it's a story that I've told a lot of people too.
So we might as well just clear the air here.
Let's do it
and let fill everyone in on this perfectly executed prank by me. And also, I didn't put a lot of effort into it, to be honest.
No, no.
The prank started. I was watching a movie with a friend, and it was God, I can't even remember the name of the movie, but
When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah, When a Stranger Calls.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, what happens in that movie is someone gets a phone call from like an unknown number.
Yep.
This person in the movie is like in a cabin by themselves somewhere up, out in the woods.
I think it's just like a home.
Or maybe it was just a home, yeah. But it was like a very isolated home. It wasn't like they weren't around people.
Yeah.
And they are dumb enough to like, I don't think they answered it at first, but eventually they answered the phone number, and it was just like someone breathing into like the microphone. And like we kind of thought that was just funny watching that in the moment. And, me and my friend at the time were like, what if we did that to someone? Like just call someone. Like at the time we did like *67, which like hid your number.
Yep.
And then you dialed the rest of the number. And because then it shows up as unknown number. And we're like, man, who could we pull this off to? And I think we went through like a couple people first. And then I was just like, you know who? I was like, most gullible guy I know. Nate. We should do this to Nate.
I'm a very gullible person. I am. I mean, you could pretty much convince me anything.
Yeah.
You could be like, dude, they're doing tests on cows. They can talk now.
They brought a T-Rex back.
They brought it. Yeah. I'd be like, Jesus, are you serious? Yeah.
And you'd tell your coworkers too.
Yeah. I'd be like, did you know that T-Rexes they're breeding them over in Illinois?
You can get one in Chicago.
Chicago.
People in Naperville have them. That's crazy.
So I'm pretty gullible. Yeah.
So we did call you. And I don't think that you answered the first time. Maybe not even like the second time. I think it was like over the summer. So I had seen this friend a couple of times like throughout the summer. And every time we got together, like, oh yeah, let's try it again.
Yeah.
And eventually we got tired of like just getting your voicemail and like you not picking up that we left a voicemail at one point of just breathing, just
yep.
And then
well, let me also kind of give you a little bit of a background too. At the time, I was kind of going through some stuff shortly after high school. So I actually moved out of state in with my grandparents. I lived with them for a year. It was awesome. They really helped me out, real talk. But I was ready to be reintegrated to my friends and to Wisconsin. So I ended up coming back a year later. And it was like a fresh start for me. So I didn't have any enemies. I didn't have anybody not that I had enemies beforehand, but I didn't have anybody that I thought was out to get me or anything like that.
You weren't around to be stirring anything up.
I wasn't stirring. I literally just got back. Yeah.
So you're probably like who could this be?
Yeah,
like, I have wronged no person in the past year and a half.
Exactly.
And so yeah, like for a while, then it was just like we left the voicemails of just the heavy breathing.
Yeah.
Until one night, I think you answered it, but you did the thing where you like put your finger over your mouthpiece, like
Yep.
your speaker. So like we heard like it pick up, and it was just dead air, and we're like, well, we didn't get a voicemail, uh, note. So we're just like, we're waiting there for like something to happen, and then we just went back to the same thing, just the. Just the breathing into the microphone.
Dude.
And then it would like click. You hung up.
I was wigged out. I was living with just my roommate, Will, who's a bassist in my band. And so he was kind of aware of this whole situation as well. But you were doing it every day and every night for like
Yeah.
a week, I want to say, maybe.
And then we stopped.
Yeah.
Then I remember we stopped because like, and I don't think I even saw you throughout that period of time while we were doing it. It was not maybe till like a month or like a few weeks later after we had just kind of like forgotten about it. Cause
Yeah.
like we never got any return messages or anything. Not that we really could have, because we were using like a unknown number,
Sure.
but we're just like, we're not really getting anywhere. Like Nate's not answering. He's not like reaching out, asking anything about it.
But I was reaching out to everyone, asking them if they were pulling a prank on me.
Yeah.
it was kind of like a thing within our friend group. I was telling everybody, I was like, guys, there is a person who is calling me
Out to get me.
regularly and breathing into the phone. I'm like, I'm wigged out by this.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's when when I said like I didn't see you for a couple of weeks, it was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks after we had stopped calling your phone. We got like dinner somewhere with like our friend group at like, God, what would that restaurant used to be?
It's no longer there, but it was like some pub
Yeah,
or something like that.
like a Mahoney's pub or something. I can't even remember what it was called.
Yeah, yeah.
But like we're just sitting there eating, and I honestly had forgotten about it because it had been a couple of weeks, and it wasn't bothering me. Like this is what I mean. Like there was literally like a 0 effort prank that I put in. It was everything that was happening was going on in Nate's head.
Yeah, I was paranoid, man. I was really paranoid.
And so we're sitting there, and he just like it struck him like lightning. He's just like, oh, I need to tell you guys something. I totally forgot. There's this guy that's been tracking me down and leaving me creepy voicemails every day. All he do is just breathe into the phone. I don't know who it is. And you're like talking a million miles an hour about it.
I was so scared. Yeah, yeah.
And I just remember looking at you being like, I was like, oh, that is weird, man. Like you should let me know if anything else happens. That's crazy. You should fill me in if anything does happen.
That was the moment that you're like, it's time to ramp it up.
Yeah, I was like, we got to take this to the next level. Like we got him hooked at this point.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember like kind of feeling proud at that moment where I was like we planted a little tiny mustard seed, and it had like sprouted. It was working.
Yeah, yeah.
So then phase 2, there was only like 2 phases to this prank.
Yeah. It was, well, I mean, the phase 1 though lasted probably a week and a half.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have phase 1, phase 2 probably wouldn't have been
No.
nearly as scary to me.
Yeah.
But because of the build up, it was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So phase 2 was, I'm trying to remember the exact timeline for it, but I think I know that you were having band practice at your house that night.
We had just finished band practice.
Yeah. And I know that you had also invited me over that same night too.
I did.
And I was hanging out with that same friend who I was doing the whole prank with too.
Mhm.
And we devised a plan of we actually showed up to your house while you were still having band practice, and it was dark out. It was like winter time.
Well, yeah. Well, also, you can't play music past 8 p.m. So at the time, we were practicing from like 4 to 8. And so I think it was like 8:30. So it was dark. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, I think maybe like January or February. So it was like,
There was snow on the ground.
yeah, a lot of snow. It was, I mean, it was cold, and it was winter. So yeah, daylight is scarce already. So it was dark by the time we got there.
Yeah.
But we did show up early while you were still having band practice. And what we had done is we went to Walmart and bought some window paint chalk.
Yeah.
Like the kind that's just like a sponge, like
It looks like a dabber or a bingo
dauber.
dabber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bingo dauber.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we and I'd been to that house many times, so I knew the layout. I knew how to get into the backyard. Not that it was like locked down or anything.
No.
It was just a fence.
Like a little gate switch or whatever.
So we got there, and we walked around through the gate into the backyard, and there was a giant dining room window that had like the curtain closed on it. So we took we bought a red paint chalk. We bought red. We like just dabbed it, did a giant smiley face,
but
big,
you really goobered it to where
it was
it streaked.
streaky.
So like the eyes had streaks and the smile had
It looked like it was
it
bleeding.
looked like it was blood, man. It looked like blood. It was scary.
Yeah. So we did that. We sneak back around, we get into our car, and we go park down the street far enough away where we could, like, we had a really good shot. I don't know how we figured this out, but we could, like, see through, like, some windows to see you guys in the house through, like, a couple of other windows on the
Yeah.
front side of the house. And we're like, okay, well, let's, like, this is the moment here. Let's wrap this up. So we called one more time with, like, the star 67. It had been probably a couple weeks since we had called.
I think you waited a week in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I had kind of forgotten about it. I had written it off as like it was either somebody who was just calling a random number and just doing this, or it was a prank by someone that I'm either no longer friends with or something like that. I had realized I was like this.
like, they got bored.
They got bored.
They moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the reason that we called this one last time is I was thinking, I was like, he's around all of his bandmates. I was like,
Yep.
there's no way that he doesn't answer this in that environment. Like, he's just finished up band
I
practice.
wanted to prove.
Yeah.
I wanted to, because everybody was kind of just like, dude, are you just like making up a creepypasta? Are you just like just trying to like look for attention
Are
or
you
something?
pranking us right now?
Yeah,
type
but
of
I
thing?
kind of was like, I needed everyone to know I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we called the number, and it rang a couple of times. You picked up, and you went like ballistic on the phone. You're like, I don't know who you are or what you think you're doing, but this isn't funny. You need to stop this right now. Like,
yeah. I was like,
knock
what
it
the
off.
f- do you want? What do you
Yeah.
want with me, man? Yeah.
And then there was silence, and then my friend just like, he like looked at me, and he like waited a couple of seconds, and he's just like, look outside your dining room window. Then we hung up the phone.
And I went into freak out mode. I remember we had a fireplace. I went and I grabbed the wood poker, the fire poker. I had that, and I approached the window when we opened it up. I mean, there was 5 of us in the room, all 5 of us. It was like, it was real for them now. They were like, this isn't a prank. They were like,
Jaw dropping.
yeah, they were like, dude, Nate's got like a killer that's trying to like, get him or something like that. I was so panicked. And we just started, we had one friend that was there that was kind of brave.
Well, before you get that far, let me
Okay,
let me share
yeah.
from my perspective, because we can see the house from like a block away.
Sure.
And we can see through some windows. And after we made the call, it was like calm. There was like nothing going on in the house.
We were plotting. We were trying to figure out our next move.
Yeah. And then it was like maybe like 30 seconds went by, and then immediately it was like everyone was crisscrossing in the windows. It was like you could see people like bolting from one room to the next.
Yeah.
It just looked like shadows bouncing around the wall. You guys were just like going nuts, like checking every corner of the house. Like, is this person in my house?
Yep.
Type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We needed to clear the house first. We checked the basement. We checked all that stuff and whatnot. And then one of the guys was like, it's snowing. I'm going to go outside and look for footprints or see if the dude's just like, in the backyard. Now, I didn't want to do it. I wasn't going to go out there.
Yep.
So shout out Bruce Harder. He went out there.
Well, I think that happened after what?
Oh, it did.
Because I think we waited a little bit. And maybe he did go out before I
I
showed
could
up.
be wrong.
But eventually, I think I waited maybe like 20 minutes to like not make it super obvious that it was us, but like
Yeah.
you might have been able to at that point to piece it together. But I called you like maybe 20, 30 minutes later.
And I just want to say also, we're 18, 19-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of shit disturbers. We honestly didn't want to call the police. We just were, I don't know. We didn't really mess with the police. We didn't really.
Didn't cross your mind, really.
No, it wasn't something that we really wanted to do, to be honest, So if anybody's like, well, why didn't you just call the cops? I mean, we're young and dumb.
Yeah.
That's basically.
And I think that you and some of the other guys were like thrill seekers in the group. And this
Yeah.
was kind of like, getting to them that they were like into it a little bit.
It was a high. They were riding a high.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't them. They weren't, their lives weren't in danger. It was just yours.
Yeah.
But I call you and I'm like, hey man, I'm on my way. I'm about to head over. Like, as I'm like a block away, like looking at the house. I'm like, I'm on my way. Do you need me to grab anything or bring any games or anything? And you're just like, I could just tell you were panicked. You're like breathing heavy. You're like, oh yeah. Like you had forgotten that I was coming over. You're like, bring whatever, but like, be careful. The guy was at my house. The guy that's been like trying to kill me. And I'm like, what? And you're like, yeah, the guy that's been calling me, leaving the creepy voicemails. Like the guy, he was at my house. He left a giant smiley face on my back window.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I was like, dude, that's crazy. Should I not come over? And you're like, no, you should. I think we're good. Like we checked the whole house.
Safety in numbers is what I
Safety in
said. Yeah, I was
numbers.
like, no, come here. I was like, I need more people here, the better.
Yeah, I'll feel better if you come over.
Yeah.
So then like I think I waited a little bit more. Then we like parked the car in the driveway and came inside. And at that moment, talk about me walking into a lion's den. I walk in and not thinking that anyone has figured it out yet, because you hadn't.
Nobody had.
But I walk in and like literally everyone's armed in like the strangest way possible. Like some guys, someone has like you had that fire poker.
I had a fire poker.
Someone had like a big steak knife.
Yep. BB guns.
Someone had BB guns. Yeah.
Yep. We thought that a BB gun would save us against a killer.
Yeah. And then there's just me walking in with nothing. I'm not armed at all.
Nope.
There'd be nothing to save me if you knew who it was.
I want to tell you now from my perspective, I do think that within the time that you were headed over, Bruce Harder had gone out to look for footprints.
Yeah.
And he had seen that it was the footprints where dude was like on detective mode. He was like, I would say it's probably a 10.5, 11, just based on my foot going into it. And he said, based on the pattern of the shoe, it looks like a work boot. It looks like it's that like cross pattern or whatever. That's like on, like steel or whatever.
He was a detective at that point.
Yeah. He's like, I want to say that it's a work boot or whatever. And then the proceeds the most I've ever been gaslit in my entire life ever.
And the moment that I should have received an Oscar for.
Yes, exactly. Bruce goes, he's like, when Ryan shows up, he's like, because Ryan's wearing work boots. And so he's like, hey, what size shoes do you wear, man? And Ryan's like, size 10, size 11, or size 11 or whatever.
I had taken them off, so they were like by the front door.
Yeah.
So he goes and grabs
He goes and grabs, he looks at it, and he goes, this is the same tread. This is the same tread as the footprints out there. And I was like, dude, immediately I was like, fuck you, man. I was like, are you kidding me? I was so mad. I was like, why would you do this? And then Ryan's just like, Nate, do you really think I would do something like that to you? And he comes at me with his arms open like this, like for a hug. He's like, do you really think
I'd be putting you through this?
I'd be putting you through this? And I immediately was like, I'm so sorry.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I was like, you're right. And I just hugged him. I was like, I'm so sorry I would ever think that. And Bruce is like, yeah, no, he wouldn't do that.
Checks out.
Checks out.
Give that guy an Oscar. But then like shortly after, I was like, okay, like things definitely escalated at this point. I think we need to kind of close this out.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we planned on staying that whole night.
We were getting to the point where we're like, we're gonna call the cops.
Yeah.
We were like, yeah.
And so I told one of our friends who was also there that I knew would like spill the beans at some point.
Yeah.
Just because,
he's a bean spiller.
He's
He's a bean spiller. Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
But I told him, and he was just like, as soon as I told him, like, biggest smile came on his face, and he was just like,
he had the biggest shooting.
Yeah, like ear to ear, he was just like, almost like he's like, I got you, I know. And I was like, I told him, I was like, hey, if anything, like if he's like getting that worked up and he's gonna call the cops, like you gotta let him know.
Yeah.
In the back of my head, I'm like, he's gonna tell him anyways. But I think at this point, like he needs to know when I'm not here, I think is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So we ended up leaving. I don't remember like what our rationale was. Like, hey, we don't feel safe here or something.
Yeah.
Gonna head out.
Bunch of armed men.
Yeah.
Like if he does find out while I'm here, probably won't be good.
Because I think I told him that while you went to like go. I think you went to the gas station, but then I think you also went to like someone else's house to get more BB guns.
We did. We went. That's so funny. No, pellet guns.
Oh yeah.
We were like the BBs aren't going to be good enough. And Bruce was like, I got pellet guns at my house. And we were like, I was like, what's the difference? He's like, they're sharper. They'll pierce the skin. I was like, let's go get pellet guns. Let's do it. And so Will and I were both armed with pellet guns by that time. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be here when the pellet guns show up. I really don't. So we're gonna make up some reason to not be here and head out.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't know what happened after because I wasn't there the rest of the night. I know at some point he did tell you what, like who was behind it all.
It was not long after you left.
Was it?
He couldn't keep it. He couldn't keep it a secret. And
was he smiling the whole time too?
Yeah. And I was spiraling, and I started to kind of like realize I was like, I was like, what are you smiling about, man? What's going on? Why do you think this is funny? And he started to kind of giggle, and I was like, you know something I don't know. I said, what do you know, man? I started to like kind of grill him, and he was like, all right, man. He's like, it was Ryan. And then I was like, are you just saying that? And he was like, no. He's like, he told me it was Ryan. And I was so mad, dude. I don't remember. Did I call you? Did I text you? Did I not call you?
It was the next day.
Yeah, I had to like cool off.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna kill this guy.
You're like, he's not gonna come back tonight anyways.
Yeah,
Like, he knows he's.
I think there was also a level of pride, maybe, or like embarrassment too, where I was just like, man, they got me. Like and I kind of looked at myself as the prank guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was a shit disturber as a kid.
Yeah.
So that was like my title. And, you know, I was really dethroned that night. So I think there was a level of that as well.
Yeah. And meanwhile, like, I didn't find this out till after, but you had been because you were living with your friend at the time.
Yeah.
Will
and I, yeah.
You had pulled your mattress into his room and you guys were sleeping in the same.
Yeah. Throughout the week that I was getting the phone calls, I was terrified. And because I could not put it together. I could not put together who done it. And so I thought it had to have been a stranger. And so, yeah, I had taken my bed, I moved it into Will's room, and I put the mattress just right down next to his. And we slept with those BB guns next to each other for a week. And I'm not going to lie, it was kind of fun. And he would say the same. It was kind of like having a sleepover every night.
Right.
And
with like a common enemy that you like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we felt safe. We felt like very like
hunkered
down, secure. Yeah. Yeah. What a time, man.
Yeah.
You did get me.
Yeah.
You did. And it's a great story. You know, at the time I was pretty mad. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you were. It was the most mad I've ever seen you at me.
Yeah.
I
mean, to the point where I was going, I have to get Ryan back. And I had these crazy delusions of what I was going to do. And the going plan, which I'm so glad I did not follow through with because it's just so bad, is we were going to do, well, not we, because nobody was agreeing to do this. Nobody else was on board with it. No, but I was like, we have to stage a car accident. And you guys need to call him and tell him that I'm going to die and that I'm in the hospital and that it's my last breath. And then he's got to drive to the hospital, and I'm going to be there with 2 middle fingers. And you know, and everybody's like, dude, that's rough. They're like, dark. Yeah, they're like, that's not the move, man. So that didn't happen, and I'm glad I didn't do that too.
Which also, I mean, I don't know how you would stage a car accident, but that's like, I mean, that's a lot of work to pull off. And literally all mine was it was just in your own head. Like all I did was
yeah, you were really pulling the strings. Yeah.
All I did was call you and like breathe into the phone. And we said like 3 words of like, go check your dining room window. Like
it's a spiral for sure. For sure.
I hung up my hat after that though. I haven't done anything
true
that bad since. And
true.
I toned things down. That was when I hung up my edgelord cape, so to speak.
My favorite pranks that I used to do, I don't even know if my brother will remember this, but when I was younger, my favorite prank to do, and I had done it like 3 times to him, and this is so mean, but it was like Big Brother stuff, you know?
Okay. He had it coming to him.
He would, he was maybe 10, 11 years old, maybe.
You were or he was?
He was.
Okay.
Yep, I was in high school. He was in grade school or he was in grade school.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had an earlier bedtime than me, obviously. So he'd go to bed at like 9:00 and I would go to bed at like 11. And I did it to him a few times. This is so mean. I don't know why I did, but I would wake him up at like 10 p.m. and I'd be like, dude, you overslept. I'm like, what? You got to get up for school. What are you doing? I was like, you got to come on, let's go.
You've been sleeping for like an hour.
I've been sleeping for an hour. And then he would get up and he would start like wandering into the bathroom. And I'd be like, dude, I'm just kidding. Look at the clock. It's 10:00, you know? And
you dummy.
Yeah, that was mean. I don't know why I did that, but that was like my number one prank. How
many times did you do that to him?
2 or 3 times.
And he fell for it every time?
He's in a slumber, you know? Yeah. I think there might have been a time where he truly did oversleep and I truly did have to do that and like be like, hey man, you got to get up and like, you got to get to the bus, you know?
You're probably thinking like, wouldn't it be funny to do that when he's not actually late for the bus?
Exactly. Yeah. When it's freaking 10 p.m. at night, he's got a whole nother 8 hours he can sleep. I love you, Joe. I'm sorry, man.
Good old pranks, man.
Good old pranks.
Speaking of pranks, I have this I found someone who's an Ariana Grande impersonator. Have
Uh,
you seen this person?
Okay, what a transition.
Well,
Speaking of pranks.
it feels like a prank to me. Like
I guess you're right. Yeah, no, I
this
don't know what you're talking about.
this person like literally looks, acts, and talks just like Ariana Grande, and like she makes her living off of it on like Instagram and stuff. And
Does she do
apparently,
like parties? I saw a Taylor
probably,
Swift impersonator that does like little girls' parties.
yeah. But this like specific person is like they have beef. Like Ariana Grande does not like this person apparently.
Oh,
Um, I think because I found out like I was just scrolling Instagram and like she came up and I was like, at first I literally thought it was Ariana Grande.
like current era, like blonde
Yeah,
Ariana Grande right
like
now?
from like Wicked, like
Okay, like
and
current era. Okay.
yeah, and so that's what this person does too. Is she like changes her like appearance based on what Ariana Grande looks like too? Every like if she's like trying to like get fit for a role or whatever, like she'll change like her
That's
appearance,
creepy.
dye her hair, whatever it is, and because I mean that's her job.
She's making money off of
Yeah.
it.
And so Ariana Grande hates this person apparently, and I kind of just like did like ended up doing like a deep dive on this like this
Yeah.
person because I think it was like the impersonator was with like was dating someone in one of the reels or like was like romantic with someone in these reels, and I was like I didn't know that she was like dating that person, or I thought she was like dating someone else, or maybe she wasn't dating
You
anyone.
thought it was Ariana Grande.
Yeah, and so I turned to Daleen. I was just like, well, I was like, what's going on? Is she like? I thought she was single, or is she dating this person? And she was one that told me like, oh, you're looking at her impersonator, and I was like, mind blown that this person,
Daleen knew about it, is
yeah,
what you're saying.
like this person's livelihood is just pretending to be Ariana Grande, and
My God.
that's all she does.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's a conspiracy, man.
yeah, it is a
That's-
little bit. Yeah,
That is weird. I'm surprised that she can't like, file for something to get that shut down.
yeah. I don't know what you would do though.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it is kind of conspiracy.
I know we're not a movie podcast, but it's similar to kind of what you're saying. You've got, two different people that look the same.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a weird conspiracy about two different movies.
Okay.
And I'm gonna die on this hill. I posted a post on Instagram about this a long time ago. But it's my Kiefer Sutherland conspiracy. Have you seen the movie Stand By Me at all?
I don't think so.
Have you seen the movie Lost Boys?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the movie Stand By Me.
So I'm gonna be useless in this. bit here,
I'm gonna
probably.
just tell you. I'm just gonna tell you about it. Yeah, yeah. It's short. It's short. It won't take long. The movie Stand By Me is a coming of age film about four kids that are looking for a body of a missing boy in the
Okay.
woods.
Like their friend.
Yeah, it's actually like it's like a Forrest Gump. It's like a cult, not even cult. It's like a classic.
Which you just saw recently.
Correct, and I didn't like it. But Stand By Me is, so these four kids, they go looking for this body, and it's a coming of age tale about how these kids end up getting to know each other better in their home lives and the struggles that they have and whatnot. Well, in that movie, the antagonist is Kiefer Sutherland, the guy from 24.
Okay.
And he is 17 years old in this film. He plays a 17-year-old, and the actor is 17 years old in it as well.
Okay.
And in the movie, his whole thing is he's a leader of a gang of like bullies. He's like the neighborhood bully for these kids. And his demeanor is he's got bleach blonde, slick back hair. He's got like a switchblade. He drives a motorcycle, and he's just an asshole. He's just so freaking mean, and he's got this like very suave, like he's just like he's like, I'm cool,
He's like the cool bad guy.
He's like the cool bad guy,
Yeah.
right? Like
Leather jacket, probably.
leather jacket,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, 100%. And the movie takes place in the 1950s. So the movie takes place in the 50s. It's an old kind of like feel to it. In the 80s,
This is just Back to the Future too.
it's Back to the Future. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. In the 80s, another movie came out with Kiefer Sutherland called Lost Boys, which if you haven't watched Lost Boys, you should watch Lost Boys.
All right.
It's a good movie. And that movie is about, I don't remember what it takes place, but it takes place in the 80s. And it's about a gang of vampires that are just messing up this like boardwalk, like coastal town
Okay.
or whatever. And they're just like raising havoc. And honestly, it's like kind of like the quintessential like formula for what vampires are for today. Well, how we view them, like a modernized, like a Twilight, or like an interview with a vampire. You know, that
They laid the groundwork.
they laid
for
the
it.
groundwork. Thank you. Yeah, they laid the groundwork. Well, it just so happens that in this movie in the 80s, Kiefer Sutherland has bleach blonde hair again, which I don't think he's a blonde guy. That's like he bleached it sort of
Mhm.
thing. It's slicked back. He's got a switchblade. He drives a motorcycle. He's got a leather jacket on, and he's an asshole. And he's super cool and suave and kind of sexy and whatnot, right? So my theory is that Stand By Me and Lost Boys are in the same cinematic universe, and Kiefer Sutherland is just a vampire. You don't age when you're a vampire,
Yeah.
and he's the same guy in both movies.
Huh.
He's in Stand By Me. He's the same dude as he is in The Lost Boys. He's a vampire in Stand By Me.
Interesting. Okay.
And honestly, I've never seen this online. I'm gonna die on this hill. This is my conspiracy.
I think I have seen it online, actually. I think you posted it to that subreddit of Let's Talk Civil about,
did. Yeah.
about movies or something. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I wonder though, is that something that like was that he came up with that maybe like because I wonder if maybe his character like he persuaded the director to be like this is kind of how I perceive in the second movie, the one that like that you're drawing the conclusion
Lost
from.
Boys. Yeah.
I wonder if he was like persuaded the director to be like I need to look like this. This is how I imagine the character looking. And in his mind, he's creating this universe. he was the one that's responsible for it, not like the director or the studio or anything. Yeah, maybe he's the genius.
Kiefer Sutherland, we need to know. Was this in your head the entire time?
Yeah, shoot us a DM. What if you're on Instagram or whatever?
Please,
let us know.
please
Get in touch with us. Comment down below. Let us know.
I'll die on that hill, though, man. I really will.
Yeah, I would love to know if like that's actually like. Because I don't think
planned.
I haven't heard anything like that. I mean, granted, I haven't seen the movies, but I don't think
like a crossover in cinematic universe between two films. Yeah,
or like cinematic universes were even like a thing in movies.
It's just too close of the same character, and then the whole aspect of not aging and vampire, like stuff is it's uncanny, man.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird stuff.
It's either that or it is like time travel or something. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
could be. Yeah.
I did hear of a time travel conspiracy theory recently though too.
What's that?
Maybe you've heard about this, but the guy's name is I had to write some of this down because like this guy, it was like
I'm fascinated with time travel.
Yeah,
absolutely fascinated with it.
And this is also something that like was like on like old internet message boards back in the day too, like kind of like that, kind of like the Wild West of the internet.
I love that. Yeah.
So I wonder if you've heard about this, but it was a guy named John Teeter.
Teeter. Barely know her. No, I don't know about it. No.
Well, I don't know how well known this is, and I mean, I didn't know about it till I stumbled upon it on like some like Reddit comments, and I kind of went into like a rabbit hole on this whole thing.
Yeah.
But apparently, this guy made on some message board. I couldn't even tell you what the site was for it. Could have been anything like Zanga or something.
Oh wow.
Like maybe even it was like 2000 to 2006. Trying to remember when he was posting about it. I think it was like, yeah, it was like right early age internet message boards time frame. But he claimed to be this guy from like the future, from like 2036.
Oh, this does sound familiar, but I keep talking. Yeah.
So he claimed to be from the future and claimed to have like all this knowledge about like what the future was, and like people are immediately being like, yeah, this guy's like not real. But it was kind of like, the excitement of like, what if it is? Because like this is early internet, like maybe something's happening that we don't know. Like maybe this is like, alien technology or something about this guy.
Yeah.
He claimed to be like back in, like, not only was he back in like their current time from 2036, but he was back with he brought his time traveling device with him.
Oh, okay.
And so then everyone was just like, okay, you need to like
prove it.
Yeah, prove it. Show us a picture of your time traveling device and like explain yourself. Like, why are you here, basically? And I think his message was basically just like, I've come back to like, warn you about certain things that like if you continue down a path, it could lead the world into like a dark place or something like that.
Yeah.
Like this is going to happen in this year. And he made
what year did this happen again? You said it was like late 90s, early 2000s?
It was like boom of the internet. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was saying stuff that like like he was making like not like prophecies, but he was saying that like in such and such year or in
Predictions.
X amount of years, this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I should probably like maybe reference the movie. I was watching this on YouTube. Some guy did like an actual like full discussion on this, a lot better than I am probably doing right now. But he talked about saying that like some of these things lined up in his predictions, but it wasn't the right year.
Yeah.
And the guy kind of like the John Teeter dude kind of like covered his own butt by saying stuff like, you know, while I'm from the future, there's different like timelines. It's different like cinema, like almost like universes type of thing.
Sure.
Like, you know, where I couldn't tell you, like, even if I told you who won the World Series in 2036, it might be different in your world
Because
line.
it's parallel
Yeah.
timelines.
Yeah. Like small things can happen here and there that like change the trajectory of things. So like, you know, there could be like a different John Teeter out there.
Yeah.
So it's like different world lines. It's kind of how we would like
Just see like early internet people just losing their mind over that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have heard of this now
Yeah.
that you're getting into it. No.
Well, and so it's crazy. This person had like a really like deep knowledge of like time travel, quantum physics, and you know he was like saying things about his device, about how it worked. I think he said it was like a GE device, like a General Electric.
Oh, okay,
the
yeah,
brand that
yeah,
like, made
like
it
created it in this
Yeah.
parallel.
in his universe.
timeline?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was like in 2036, like they're not commonplace, but the technology is there.
Oh, I
that,
love
like,
it.
GE has made these. It's like the IBM of like our
Like
generation.
only like the upper echelon, like rich 1% has them in their home or whatever.
Yeah, and it was some brand that's like not really like super relevant anymore around like,
Yeah.
in our timeline, but
In our timeline, like you're speaking like this shit's real. Jesus.
I am John Teeter actually.
Oh my god.
But then yeah, so he's basically saying all this, and then eventually he does share a picture of his time machine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when people like it doesn't really like disprove or like prove anything from him, because it's like it's photos. It was probably before you could actually send videos on the internet anyways. So like
Oh, okay.
it was
Yeah.
just like photos of like his machine in his like truck, because he talked about like buying some truck, or he came back from the future in an old truck. Yeah, so that was also another thing where he was like, even though I'm from 2036, I bought a car that was an old car to fit in when I time travel back.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it's just kind of a lot of coincidences at this point. So he took a picture of the time machine in his old truck that he had in his car, and it looked like pretty realistic. But I mean, how do you really tell?
Still not proof.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
not proof. And it basically like it ended up like fizzling it out at some point, where him saying that like my time has come. He's like, I've completed my objectives, even though he didn't really say like
What they were?
exactly what all of them were. Like I'm assuming he had objectives outside of this random message board that he decided to like spill the beans on. And he's like, yeah, this will be my last post type of thing. And there was only a couple of users that like actually formed any sort of like relationship with this person,
Yeah.
and were like in like, I guess you could say his DMs, but it wasn't like thought of that way. It was just like private messages that they had like chatted about certain things. And so he had like chatted like maybe one or two people, like more info than he had to the rest of them. And I think those are kind of lost, like who that person was that he was talking to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of those things. So it'd be super interesting to learn like more about what that said too.
Weird.
And then like then yeah, he never posted again. He was just never heard of again. So the working theories of who this person actually was is it was just kind of like a hoax from the beginning.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And the person that I posted this video, I wish I should have like wrote down, because I swear to God, I'm not trying to steal their content.
You're pulling some of it from it. Yeah.
But like, and I don't know if it was his conclusion, or if it was like the general consensus is that it was from some like semi well known director in
Oh.
that was like trying to see like, you know, what if this could be a hoax, what could we do? Can we make it a thing, almost like an urban
Well, the War of the Worlds
Yeah,
back
like
in the 1950s on the radio broadcast when
Yeah.
they pranked the whole when they pranked the whole
You're getting into it.
I'm getting way into it, man. When they pranked the whole world about,
Yeah.
aliens coming and whatnot. Kind of similar to that a little
Yeah.
bit.
And I don't know if they had ambitions to, I mean, if it was the hoax thing, I don't know if they had ambitions to make it huge or just to see where it would go type of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they decided to end it, because it wasn't like, there was not a lot of gas behind it.
Sure.
But that was kind of the thing. And like, it would make sense why they would have like a realistic looking time machine prop that they could have like
Okay.
had
Yeah. Yeah.
connections
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
like prop builders and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with that theory that that's the way it went, but it's still kind of like an unknown early internet
That sucks.
mystery.
I would love to. Yeah. I would
Yeah.
love to know who that would be. What director that would be.
Like if you go home and just Google John Teeter or like YouTube it, you could probably get lost in a ton of content.
I
like,
honestly will tonight.
other
yeah.
people. Yeah.
I honestly, that sounds fascinating. I haven't heard of that before,
Yeah.
actually.
And I thought that you would have because I know that you're kind of like
I'm a time guy.
creepypasta guy.
I'm also
too.
a creepypasta guy.
Yeah, early internet stuff fascinates you. So
It
I
does.
thought
It
you would have
does.
known more about this than I did.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that. I'm not. I am familiar with a lot of similar stuff, to that, like hoaxes that are widespread like that.
Mhm.
But like pre-internet type stuff.
Yeah. Dude, it was the Wild West back then.
It was, yeah.
Interesting. So
It
much
was.
so much like unchecked stuff happened back
Yeah.
then that, the Wild West.
I believed a lot of stupid shit when I was younger on the internet that I shouldn't have.
I mean, I know
For
you're
sure.
gullible.
Like Slender Man?
Oh, you believe that?
No, I didn't, but I
You
wanted
wanted
to. Let's not talk about Slender Man.
But have you heard of Splenda Man?
Splenda Man.
I just made it up.
Oh man. I just want to say I feel like an ass. I forgot to put my wedding ring on today. I'm
Oh,
so
dang.
sorry, Alice. I love you. So sorry. Oh man, dude, weird internet stuff.
Dude, right? Yeah.
Pre-internet, Wild West. Wild West.
Wild, Wild West.
I think that pretty much calls it, man. I think that's it, dude.
That's all we got.
That's all we got, man.
That was Mike's super short show.
Mike's super short show. Disney Channel, shout out. Sponsor us. Love you guys. Stay bald.
Love you.